Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, James.
And good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you are all having a great weekend or a great week whenever it is that you are listening. So another podcast episode, Anne.
Yes, they go quickly.
They do go quickly, and hopefully you are all enjoying listening. So I think we can begin, Anne.
Yes, I'd like to begin on something we've talked about before.
Yes.
I think it's probably one of the first ones we ever did, was about the doghouse.
Yes.
Which we watch on television.
Yes.
And this week it's been back on again and we've been watching it. And it's just a nice way to start a Sunday morning, because it teaches us about human beings and animals, really, in a way. Because with one dog, it was put with the child, a 2-year-old child.
Yes.
And both the dog and the child, their words, not mine, were as mad as each other.
Yes. Yeah,
so
true.
They were both running round, and then suddenly the dog barks and the child was frightened a little bit. Then the parents asked the child to walk around, and he walked and the dog walked with him.
Yes.
So that part is that children and dogs are free.
Yes.
They both were free, but still needed instruction.
Yes.
As to how behaved. Then the second couple that affected me were a couple who were in the 70s who had previous husband and wife.
Yes.
Met by letter. They'd met by the man advertising for a companion, just as a friend, in Yours magazine.
Yes.
In this day and age, I find that lovely.
Yes, it is lovely.
Because people are on TikTok and things like that.
TikTok,
or
yes.
whatever it is.
Tinder and TikTok and
Tinder
whatever.
and TikTok, right. Or on Tinder. But for me, how lovely is that somebody in this day and age puts an advert in a magazine.
Yes.
Yours is a magazine that is just an ordinary magazine with a section for people to make friends.
Oh.
And then they got together, they met, and it seems that the man himself was... the lady sent a letter to the man, and she asked him to message her, and didn't know how to do message.
No.
So he had to go and find somebody to teach him how to message.
Yes.
And she said he's never stopped since.
Oh.
But to see them both together was a delight, wasn't it?
Yes.
And they chose a very, very nervous dog for these two.
Yes.
And it didn't relate to them at all, even while they were there. But the beautiful thing for me was they still took the dog home.
They did.
And then you saw the dog at the end with them, and the dog was part of the family. It was their family.
Yes.
So what I'm saying, it's a nice way to start, is that we look at relationships and how we have to adapt.
Absolutely. I agree. And if you haven't watched it before, it really is worth watching. The Doghouse, it's on Channel 4 at the moment. I think the new series is 2 episodes in. And as far as I am aware, you can get the previous series, or at least some previous series, on Channel 4's streaming service. And it is a heart warmer.
Definitely.
It really is. It's a lovely watch, and it's good. And it really is good, as in goodness. And
it brings tears as well to your eyes,
absolutely,
doesn't it?
Yes. The backstories of what's happened to some of the dogs and the humans. It's moving. It's a human-centred with a creature, an animal, about genuine relationships and the ups and downs of life, and how love conquers, and how friendship, companionship, loyalty, trust, faith, friendship, everything that is of value between a dog and a human is on show. And it's life-affirming and inspiring, and it's hopeful and good. It really is worth a watch. So that is The Doghouse, and it's on Channel 4.
Yes. And really, following on to that, I had a message this week from somebody asking me if I could send some love to a deer.
A deer, right, okay.
They'd found a deer on the road and its leg was hanging off and it was in pain, and they took it to the vet. this person took it to the vet.
Yes.
Now, many people would drive past that and wouldn't even bother a deer on the road.
I would imagine a deer is quite big.
It is, well, I don't know whether it was small or not, I didn't ask.
Yes.
But took it to the vet, which I think is a beautiful thing to do.
Yes.
And then she's sent me a message since to say, obviously, the vet has sent the deer back home, put it to sleep, and she said, and her words were, it's out of its misery now, it's not in pain.
No.
So doesn't that give us hope in a world where things are going wrong?
Yes. That people still care.
That they do care.
And that people are prepared to act on that care.
Yes.
Ask for help and also offer help and support, not just to other humans, but to animals as well.
Yes.
I feel that that's very important. And we can all draw inspiration and hope from each other because we can see this in the world around us. And we can also model it for the world around us as well.
Yes.
So we can be an example to each other and draw an example from each other.
Yes.
And hope is within us.
Yes.
So we can draw upon that from each other.
And that's important. Hope's important, isn't it?
Very important, yes.
You know, we have hope, we have faith. So that's the way we are going to change this world.
Yes.
You know, to be able to see children running around with dogs again and running around the supermarket, and they really annoy you, and can I have a sweet, and you walk past and you've been really annoyed, but then you smile because, you know, most of us have gone through it ourselves with our own children, and we always think we could do better or we did better, but it's not always true if we're honest, is it?
No.
That in life, but let's find things that we can smile about.
Yes.
Because we also have to be aware, don't we, of what's happening in the world.
We do.
This time.
We do.
And on the other side of that,
yes,
we watch Dragon's Den as well. So,
yes.
you know, from one thing to another, and you learn from everything. You know, it's not, even if you're watching a film, we can learn. But with Dragon's Den this week, it was on about AI.
I think you mean The Apprentice.
The Apprentice, that's right.
Yes.
Apprentice, I get those two mixed up, Dragon's Den and The Apprentice.
They're both,
for some reason.
They are both business
Yes.
entrepreneurially
Yes.
centred, yes. So
Yeah.
The Apprentice with Alan Sugar, Lord Sugar.
That's right, yes.
Yes.
Yes, so he has a group of people, group of young people.
Yes.
Who he's testing them to take them into business with him.
Yes.
So it's a competition, really, of seeing who's the best each week. And he sacks people every week who he doesn't think are competent enough.
Yes.
But this week was about AI, which I don't know a lot about. I only know my own gut feeling, and my gut feeling, it may not be the same as other people's. I can't say fear, concern. I can say great concern about it, and I suppose there is some fear there. But for me, it was virtual reality.
Yes.
And my only experience of virtual reality was when we went to see The Lion King, the film.
Yes.
And when we came out, I asked you how they made the lions, how they could sync up the lions speaking. The lions speaking with the lion. And you said, but the lions are artificial intelligence as well. And I truly thought they were real lions.
Yes.
That they were using. And that's me as adult at my age, didn't recognise.
Doesn't that show how quickly we can suspend our disbelief? How quickly we can accept a reality that's presented to us, and how quickly we can acclimatise to that reality.
Yes, scary. Because by the same rule, when we went to see The Lion King in the theatre...
Yes, the West End show.
Which is absolutely brilliant.
It really is a magnificent show, yes.
By the end of that, I wasn't thinking of the people as people, I was thinking of them as the lions.
I know. Well, that is the magic of theatre,
yes.
The magic of live performance, and the medium and magic of television as well,
yes.
and motion pictures. It requires the audience to suspend their disbelief.
Yes.
And you accept the drama as real, in as much as you're aware that it's obviously not literally life,
Yes.
but the feelings, the story, the emotions that it conjures, and the messages that it portrays are real to life and invoke real feelings.
Yes.
And we are moved internally. Although what we are watching and exposed to externally is obviously not literally true, in another way it's more true. In a way it's
Yes.
super true. It's meta truth in terms of it's encapsulating a truth that's deeper and penetrates further into our lives. That can be used for tremendous good. Live theatre, television, films, human-centred stories about our hopes, our dreams, our fears, our challenges, our struggles, our imaginations. It can reflect back to us the best of our nature,
Yes.
and it can also warn us about the worst of our nature, and we can learn and we can grow through this. So theatre, live performance, television, films, and then to move that into literacy, books, poems, and then into dance and other forms of art and performance are so important for communicating meaning and truth and bringing about change and inspiration, and also challenging ideas, challenging the status quo, challenging the establishment, provoking a reaction, creating political change, creating societal change, or confirming and reaffirming messages. It's so important. So I agree with you, there is a lot to be concerned about, but also in the possibility of goodness, with the possibility of goodness, there is a great amount of change. However, the sticking point, or the point that started our conversation about this, was AI, artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And therefore, all that I am describing has been, and today still, thankfully, includes mostly a human-centred author, a human-centred actor, a human-centred voice.
Yes.
About the human experience created by, with humanity, for humanity, with a support from a level of technology, but not technology being the author, not technology being the director, not technology being the literal performer. And that's where, within The Apprentice,
Yes.
this particular episode, Alan Sugar set the challenge for the contestants, the young apprentices, to create a virtual reality pop star, not where a human was the actual pop star, musician.
Yes.
It was a simulation where the visual effects, the voice,
And the characters were themselves.
absolutely. So in this balance, the human is supporting technology, not technology supporting human. So it's a counter change. Therefore, the leading light, the leading protagonist
Yes.
is potentially technology. And that's the point of concern. If I have understood you correctly, listening to you talk about this before.
Yeah. That is my concern. It's greatly my concern.
Yes.
But as you're speaking then, what it's made me think as you're speaking is that when I went to see the Lion King, it was the humans,
The film or the theatre show?
the theatre show.
The theatre show.
Similar with the film, because the film was to me like a bit like a cartoon. But with the theatre, it was, the aspect was from the animal. It was humans experiencing the animal instincts. The animal, we were watching a king being born within the animal kingdom.
Yes.
It wasn't related to us as people. We were experiencing how it felt to be those animals, to be in a cub. What I'm finding with AI, and this may not be understandable to a lot of people, is what I feel with AI is AI is taking over the personality of man.
Yes.
But in doing that, we're losing man.
Yes.
This is only my opinion, not anybody else's. So we're losing our identity to something else, because anything can be put on once they have that. And I might be wrong because I don't understand all of this. if they put me onto, if you took me now, sat here talking to you, and this was being filmed by somebody else, that could be changed by AI, couldn't it?
Yes.
So that what the words coming out of my mouth now wouldn't be my words.
They can be altered, changed, doctored in various ways.
That's the scary part for me, is that can happen.
Yes.
So if I'm talking to you about, say I'm talking to you about money, I'm talking about a bank account or anything like that, my words could be altered, that I was in the wrong, that what I'm saying to you is changed.
It can be falsified.
Am I right in that?
It can create literal lies. It can make anybody do anything visually. And once it captures somebody's voice, in potential, somebody could use that voice recording with AI to make that person appear to be saying anything. So this could not only be change, it can be literally creating lies, falsifying information, providing false witness.
And I wouldn't be able to do anything about that, would I?
Not in its creation, no. Afterwards, we are playing catch-up as a society, implementing laws and hopefully having the technology to be able to verify credible, authentic, primary media in terms of literal pictures, literal voice recordings or literal recordings, as opposed to artificially simulated recordings, pictures and filmed recordings. So there are systems in place, but they are completely inadequate for what's coming. The rate of change and the improvements in AI is far superior to our capacity to regulate it, because we simply cannot know where it's going to go. And its growth is exponential and its processing power is exponential. Therefore, now it's become open AI, it can program itself, it's its own intelligence, and it will no longer require human beings. It will just require a power source. And therefore humans are necessary in as much as they provide a power source, energy, for artificial intelligence.
But in that case, could they lose power? This is only my head thinking at the moment. So if that's the case, if that's happening all the time, surely our own process of thinking will be lost, because something is started to do thinking for people. So the children coming up, will they be able to think for themselves or have imagination?
Potentially, yes, but if it's not used, it will be dumbed down. Like anything in our human experience, if we are engaging with something, we become more adept at using it. So if somebody never reads, they can't access the magic and the wonder of books if they don't have the skills to be able to read. It's not that they don't have the latent intelligence to be able to learn to read, they just haven't got that pathway within their mind map, that pathway within their brain synced up to their eyes and then synced up to their imagination in ways that are beyond comprehension in terms of consciousness. But potentially, in theory, the vast majority of people have the potential to learn to read. So the potential to think is within everybody. The potential to have imagination is with everybody, but it has to be developed. And therefore, the problem is not the eradication of the potential, it is the underdevelopment of the potential. So children are not going to grow up with vivid imaginations if they're not engaging with their imagination and using their minds in relationship to their world around them. From an early age, it's going to be hijacked, for want of a better term, hijacked and usurped by artificial intelligence. And you're right, people are not going to become resourceful. They're not going to be able to source information, because they're going to, at the click of a button or at the voice of a command or the command of a voice, say, Alexa, XYZ, what's the answer? Or click, 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 what's the answer? And therefore, they're not sourcing the information. They're not becoming resourceful. They're not finding how to move from A to B through C to D to E to F. They'll just go from A to Z immediately. So there's no pathway. And therefore, if we're not developing the pathways through our neurons, through our brain connections, we're going to become extremely limited creatures.
So we'll lose the capacity of the brain to store, surely.
No,
If
you
we're
won't.
not,
You
we
won't.
won't.
You won't lose the capacity. It will. It will become latent.
Right.
So the human vessel is already vastly underperforming in its capacity in terms of potential. The human being has limitless potential, and certainly such an enormous potential in comparison to how human beings live today. That potential remains within the human being. So the human being already has lost so much of its abilities. And the human being is already vastly latent, as in essentially asleep. So we're talking about we want to progress, we want to evolve, we want to open up, based upon the premise of the human being blossoming and evolving and flowering and growing into the ever-expanding more of what it can be, of who we can be and who anyone can potentially be with imagination. This potentially is a backward step. We're at the precipice of change here. Now, the human being as in its current form, the human sapien, the Homo sapien, wasn't the only human vessel. There were many human vessels and 3 or 4 potential pathways of evolution. Artificial intelligence and technology being at the centre is the next step of evolution, or it's something else. So it's going to happen. The human being is going to evolve. The next phase of evolution is well and truly underway. The question is, are we going to continue on our human evolution, or are we going to accept becoming a new species? And that new species is going to become a technological species to the point of which there'll be no more human.
Exactly.
And it's a conscious decision. Neither's right, neither's wrong. But for the human beings on the earth, are human beings going to choose knowledge or life? Experience or complete perfection in what the mind can conceive of, which is this everlasting life with no fault, or through the human experience, which is deeply flawed subjectively, but magnificent internally.
Exciting. Very exciting.
That's the essential choice for humanity, completely oversimplified, but it's a false reality to think that there isn't evolution taking place, that things are going to stand still. They can't stand still. The human being is evolving, the human race is evolving, and things are going to change and change rapidly. The question is, in which direction? Are we going to remain human-focused, centred around our human subjective experience, and find a way of moving forward with that? That is how the human being, in terms of the Homo sapiens, made that decision tens of thousands of years ago, as far as we understand it. It was the ability to cooperate, the ability to communicate, the ability to work together in a social network focused around the greater good of the tribe, of a wider living organism rather than an individual. It was centered around feeling. It was centered around bringing love in action. It was love that meant that the Homo sapien, which was a weaker being on an individual, it was a much weaker being than some of the other vessels that were around. But it was able to work together. And the fact that it was able to initiate love in action and start to bring the higher-minded principles of love, compassion, unity, togetherness, empathy, meant that it stepped forward in its evolution. We are at that point again. AI, artificial intelligence, has no emotions. It has no interest in
None at
emotion.
all.
It is not an experiential path of evolution. It's not. It's about data. It's about acquiring information. The human being is about experience. It's about growth through experience. First person, intrinsic, subjective, meaningful experience. They are our choices. We can either return and continue on the path of life, choose the tree of life, or be tempted down the path of more knowledge and keep pursuing knowledge, keep pursuing more. I suggest, and I feel you agree with me, I've spoken for a long time now, so I'll hand it over to you, Anne, that we, the human race, stay human, stay focused on our subjective experience, work together in enabling systems that speak to and embody the best of who we are, a cooperative, social, loving creature and move forward, as imperfect outwardly as that may be, the depth of meaning is indescribable, and we recognise the evolution is not just happening in the external world, but the internal being is evolving, the soul is evolving, rather than artificial intelligence. I'll pass it back to you, Anne, there, because I've spoken for a while, and thank you.
No, but as you're speaking, what's going through my mind is that I think, and I'm not blaming anybody or calling anybody with this, is I think laziness of mind has got in the way with people, is that we take, as humans, we've begun to take, a long time ago, an easy option rather than a hard option of things. The example I'd like to give is that I am dyslexic, and I'm very dyslexic. But there wasn't such a word when I was growing up. There was no word as dyslexia.
Yes.
And obviously, because I didn't know that I was seeing words jumbled up.
Yes.
So I'm not seeing these words jumbled up. I'm just seeing words. So I could read.
Yes.
So I've never had a problem. I've always had a problem with spelling, but reading is no problem at all, even though the words are jumbled. But then we came to messages and predictive text.
Yes.
So now I have predictive text on my phone. But what people don't understand is, with the predictive text, it can still be the wrong word, because I don't know it's spelt wrong. It might be what's come up is right, but it's the wrong word in context.
Yes.
Plus I'm writing. So my brain still has to keep working.
Yes.
But other people, and I have seen this happen with people who are dyslexics themselves, they will keep that wrong word in because they're not checking themselves.
Yes.
Of what they've actually put in. So I think this is what's happened. It's very slowly. For me, AI is very clever, the way whoever's behind AI, they're very clever, because the way it's been done has been done over a long time.
Yes.
So
potentially even a calculator is the birth of AI. And essentially, really, it's computers. Yes. The first computer.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not. So we haven't realised that, in a way, and I haven't got any evidence of this, we've all been programmed.
Yes.
And that's scary, but now it's time that people started waking up, because the minds of our children, the next generations that are coming, and unfortunately, it's going to be the babies now, these babies that are born with just pure souls, we want only goodness put into their minds now.
Yes. So essentially you're saying people are going to be programmed no matter what.
Yes.
So we either consciously program with goodness, or we allow ourselves to be programmed by
absolutely
a non-feeling entity.
Absolutely.
That is neither good nor bad,
no,
but essentially is looking to extract as much data and information as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. We do need to be programmed by goodness. And we need, first of all, I think the first programming should be, if I had anything to do, would be recognition.
Yes.
Recognition of what's going on, because most people are not recognising. Because when you're on a recorder, it's recording and recording and recording, but they're not understanding that everything is being fed into what may be a massive computer.
It is, not it may be, it is.
Yeah. You see, that's... So, thoughts for today.
Yes.
Thoughts for today are, please look at what we're all doing, me included, and let's only be programmed for goodness.
Yes. Well, we started off with the dog's house and stories of people meeting up in car parks because of letters through magazine articles, and turning towards the existential threat of AI to the human existence.
Yes, exactly.
So, well, there you go. We didn't know, and we never know what's going to happen.
No.
Hopefully that's made sense. And of course you may feel differently, or you may agree with what's being talked about this morning. I'm sure everybody agrees in essence about the goodness of humanity and that being in all of us, potentially.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend, and we look forward to being with you, to speaking with you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.